Clint, and this is Allison, and we are a Double Dose of Data.
So we are excited to do a follow-up to a recent video that I shared called 3 Simple Tips to Save Time with Digital Learning. And so after watching that, we thought it would be a good idea. Clint, who is also a classroom teacher, is going back into the classroom doing digital learning this year. And so we thought it would be a good idea if we did kind of a follow-up. So kind of some of the questions that a teacher might have to follow up on the video.
So I went through and watched the video again, and I just had a few questions that I wanted to ask. Now, the first tip that you gave in that video was to choose familiar tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any specific tips for teachers that may be kind of juggling back and forth? Like I know in my case, we're starting virtual, but we expect to at least go back to in-class part-time at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So any tips for anybody that's in a similar situation?
Yeah. So my suggestion in terms of that, in the school where I work, we have a very similar thing where it's anticipated that there's probably going to be some going back and forth. So my advice to you and to any other teachers would be whatever routine you are going to follow online with learning, I recommend you follow that same routine more or less as best you can during face-to-face learning. And so what I mean by that is I have teachers who are using a learning management system online, and they're going to be posting parts of lessons online and parts of practices online for students to do. And what I am recommending for those teachers to do is go ahead and even during like the traditional face-to-face lessons of the school day, if you have those opportunities, you pull up whatever you would normally do online on your smartboard or whatever device you have, and go through those just as if you were doing an online class. Because the purpose of that is how important it is. Remember I said to choose familiar tasks. It's also a part of that is making the tasks that you're doing as familiar as possible so that kids are comfortable going through the parts of the lesson, and they're going to be able to do that independently apart from you. One other tip, I know you didn't ask this specifically, but I'll throw in a bonus tip on this one. Is if you want to, I would anticipate that we are going to have a lot more students taking extended absences this year. In our area, if a student has to be tested for COVID, they can't come into school.
That's a good point.
Also, if you have that contact tracing and they've come into contact with someone, they may have to stay home. In our state, it's for 10 days. And so they could be healthy at home, just having to wait it out. So in order for them to not get so far behind, if you are doing face-to-face, is I highly recommend going ahead and pre-recording lessons that you know that you're going to be teaching online, or that you would be doing in class rather. Pre-record some lessons, just, under 10 minutes is my recommended amount of time. Or you might even record yourself as you're teaching those face-to-face lessons to your students who are there in person and posting those videos on your learning management system. And I just think that's going to be a great tool for kids who don't have the opportunity to be there but are able to work. I think that would be really helpful for teachers to do.
So your second tip in the video was to provide clear instructions. And with part of that, you talked about making videos.
Mm-hmm.
And you suggested that your choice was Screencast-O-Matic, I think.
Yes.
Screencast-O-Matic.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just give us some reasons for why that was your choice when they have so many other options out there?
Sure. So the other options, I mentioned Screencast-O-Matic, which I love. Mm-hmm. There is also Screencastify, which is a Google extension. And another one that I know teachers are talking about a lot and love is Loom. Now, for me, I haven't checked out Loom, so it's between Screencast-O-Matic and Screencastify. The difference for me is that Screencast-O-Matic, their free account, gives you 15 minutes in videoing for free.
Okay.
Whereas Screencastify, you only get 5 minutes for free. And I will say that I used Screencastify, which is the Google extension, years ago, and that one, it didn't work well for me. They were still working out glitches and things, I guess. So for me, if something isn't reliable, I'm pretty quick to write it off as far as the technology tool goes. So for that reason, I do Screencast-O-Matic. And I will say a couple other things is that one, I do pay for Screencast-O-Matic. I pay $1.65 a month for Screencast-O-Matic.
Okay.
So that comes out to
just under $20.
Just under $20 for the year. And so for me, that's a very reasonable amount. So I can cut middle sections of videos, and I have just more editing tools with the paid version of Screencast-O-Matic. But all that to say, I like screencast-o-matic.com because it's a 15-minute limit.
All right.
He loves when I give long answers.
All right, moving on
question.
here. So another one of your tips was taking advantage of self-grading.
Yes.
Which is all over the internet right now with
yes.
different sources. And you talk about Google Forms, which you can use as quizzes.
Mm-hmm.
I bet a lot of people are wondering, can I still use that if I'm not using Google Classroom? Like if I'm using something like Schoology or Canvas?
Yes.
Is that still usable?
Yes. So you can use Google Forms. You can have a personal account. Sometimes your districts might have the Google Suite account for you. That means typically that they use Gmail as your school email address is a Gmail account that it goes through. But whatever you use, Google is just such, a world dominator as far as technology goes that everything plays well with Google. And so you can use Google Forms, and I haven't used Schoology, but I feel confident in saying you can use it with Schoology. You can use it with Microsoft Teams and the Microsoft platform because it's all just online. So you're sharing the link with kids, and as long as you can share the link with them, you have free access to Google Forms. So that can be independent.
It's web-based, and so basically you can fit it into other programs and just send them to it.
Exactly.
And get the data from it.
Yeah.
Okay?
And really, because Google is the giant that it is, pretty much everything plays nicely with Google. Like everything's going to be integrated well with Google.
Right. In order just to get in the game, they know they have to be Google friendly.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Last question here. I would say at this point, a lot of the school systems and teachers are getting monies that spend on different resources. There's the government money that they're pouring into stuff. So let's say a principal comes to a teacher and says, hey, what do you need? What, if you could just do one technology, or I might let you throw in an extra one, what would you have these teachers go for? What would you suggest they need for their classroom?
Okay, so I'll be honest. You gave me a heads up about this question.
I did.
And my first thought was, oh no, first to only pick one. I'm going to give you a couple. Okay. But also, I will point out that you know me well, and you love me for it. I've never been one to spend a lot of money out of pocket on my classroom. Right. And I've also worked in districts before that they don't have a lot of money to spend on things. So everything that I've shared before already in the videos, I just want to start by saying you don't have to have any special things. Like only if there's a reason to get something extra to make an improvement. So that being said, my first thing is if you do not have a webcam, if your computer does not have a webcam on it,
that's a must.
That's a must because here, like you can do stuff without it. I can't imagine doing a Google Meet with students though without having a webcam. Yeah. One workaround, if you don't have one, is you can, as the teacher, you can log in on your computer if you would need to, I guess, but also maybe then you use your cell phone if you have a cell phone that for the Google Meets or the Zoom meetings or whatever. And that way that's going to for sure have a webcam. So first thing is I think you have to have a webcam because I'll throw in too, even if you're making videos and things, if you are making videos for your own students, you don't always have to show your face, but I don't remember the research exactly, but research does point to you're going to be more effective if your students can see you for at least part of the video.
It just reminds them that there's a person over on that other side and they're not just doing their work for a computer at the school, like that there's an actual person there, I think.
There's a human there, that they're a human. I think it just lets them know that there is someone there. So for me, number one is a webcam. It's a must.
Let's dream a little bigger here.
Okay, dream a little bigger. Okay. So my second thing, and maybe this is a big dream for some, maybe this is a small dream for some, but my next thing is a document camera. So if you can have a document camera, that's going to be a great tool. Now, this is the Hue Document Camera. And so this thing, now when I bought it online a couple of years ago from Amazon, it was $40-ish. And I will say that I've noticed since the spring there has been a bit of price gouging on Amazon.
No, I can't imagine.
I know. So it may be a little more expensive, but this is Hue, Hue, and it's just a little camera that you can adjust. You can do a little bit of focusing and things, but it's a great document camera. So if you're making videos, especially if you're a math or science teacher and you're having to write out working problems, this is fantastic to have for that. So students can actually see you working out problems. As a bonus, this particular one, and most of them have this too, you can adjust it so that it becomes a webcam if needed. And then it also has a built-in speaker. So, or a microphone, I should say. And so it's going to pick up some better quality sound than your computer. So that is a document camera. Thanks for finding that one. I appreciate it very much. The next thing that I would say, this next category depends on your needs, because as I mentioned, Screencast-O-Matic is a great tool that for $20 a month to be able to have that.
$20 a year.
Or $20 a year, thank you. This is why he's great to have around. So for $20 a year, you can have access to Screencast-O-Matic, and it's just great for video creation. Another thing that I would throw in, I know you asked for one, and I told you I'm going to give you a list, because it just depends on what you have and what you need.
Sure.
So another tool that you could use is a tablet, where you can buy USB tablets. I know that we have one of these here too. I'm not even going to ask him to
It's at school.
grab that one. Oh, it's at school. Okay, so now we know where that one is. So it's one where you can write on your screen. If you've seen Khan Academy videos, that's something that you can use for that. But again, if you have the document camera, that might not be necessary. The next thing that I would say, I know so many things. Still going, is a microphone. And so my thinking for that, my reasoning for that is, if you are teaching a lesson to your students and your students are able to see your screen, like say for you when you go back to school, I've recommended that as you have your Google Slides up that you're teaching from, that he runs Screencast-O-Matic, so it's recording his screen. But if you have ever recorded yourself in the classroom, you probably know that the most difficult part of recording is not the video part, because we have access to so many different tools, but to get good audio. So what I would recommend is for the audio, get yourself, you can get them again for about $30 on Amazon, a little lapel mic, or one that has the headset that'll come in front of your mouth, can even be in front of your mask if you're having to teach with the mask on. So Bluetooth wireless microphone for that. Last little things that I'm going to say about this are some other tools that you might be interested in. Edpuzzle is a website that you take videos, and you can take ones from YouTube or wherever else, and you can put questions in those that students have to log into their account. You show the video, and you want them to pause and answer a question before being able to go on to a video. So that one for free, you can get 20 videos to access. That one is $9.60 a month. So if you're a big spender and a big dreamer and you've got a big budget, my teachers that I work with love Edpuzzle. A Boom subscription would be another one. That was one that I shared. I think it's about $25 a year. And you get access to your students' scores on all of their Boom cards, which is going to be really helpful.
It's another self-grading thing, and you can take the scores.
Yes, and so being able to track that and assign different things. And then my last thing, and this one's kind of vague, but where I stress the use of templates and using templates in your classroom so that things are familiar, maybe you can find a bundle of templates on Teachers Pay Teachers somewhere that is this type of format that you would want followed for your classroom and for an activity that your kids would love and be able to do over and over again. So that was a lot of stuff.
A lot of information there, which I'm sure hopefully you can find some of that to use.
Yes.
Now we've been referencing another video that you made. Can we put that down in the description so people can link to that, so they can make sure? So if you're watching this, go back and watch the first one, which again was called
3 Simple Tips to Save Time, which we all want to do, for distance learning or digital learning. Now I don't remember which one it was, but it'll be good.
Thank you very much.
All right, and so if you don't already follow us and have subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to us. And you don't want to miss out on moments like these with a double dose of Dowda. So
Have a great school year.
Yes, have a great school year. We're so glad that you watched.
Thanks.